You know who else is mid tier? Vega. And
Mm.
he is the main focus of what I want to discuss and hone in on this week for my segment. But before I jump into the particulars of that, there's something else. I did a story yesterday, and Capcom has updated their CFN online stats where it used to be that all of their ranking, like so their character win rates and their character popularity and all that stuff, was all restricted to just a single rank. And I'm sorry, the character popularity hasn't been updated like this, but the win rates and the matchups and all that stuff has been now further detailed, and now they've broken it up into four different ranks. So it's like rookie to ultra silver, they show the stats for that. And then gold to ultra platinum, they show the stats for that. Diamond to warlord, and then grandmaster to warlord. And so now we get to see how different characters fare at different rank levels, relatively speaking, at least divided into four here. And the character that is the most consistent throughout in the only character as of in July of 2021, the most recent stats batch that we have, who's in the top 10 for win rates across the board is Vega. Everybody else fluctuates. Like Honda's really good at the lower ranks, and then he falls off if you go up. And the opposite is true for Cammy. She's really bad. She doesn't win very much at the lower ranks, but then you get into the top ranks and she's number one. Vega is in the top 10 of all four of those ranks. And so that was interesting to me because he's like you said, or like I said, he's always kind of been mid-tier at best and regarded as like a lower tier character. And so to see that is interesting. And I gotta say, I see Vegas all the time and have like coming up through the ranks and whatnot. And so, focusing in on him, there's something that I've been sort of considering for a while now, and it actually points to a bigger so what that you can take and apply to the rest of your fighting game career and rounds. Every round you play in any fighting game that you play, I think that this is good to know. It's a good tool to have in your belt, but it's very clearly exemplified by Vega's slide. And so I want to hone in on that and talk about Vega's slide, specifically how even though it's a very obvious move that you kind of figure out after your first few matches against Vega or as Vega, it's still something that hits you more often than I think you'd like to admit. That's very true for me. And it's more useful. It seems like it's just going to be some kind of a gimmick, and yet it comes out seemingly randomly in the neutral play, and it still gets you. You know,
The mental guard break on it is huge
mhm.
because when you get hit by it, it feels like it does double the damage or triple what it actually does. It hurts, like, and you're like, I can't believe they caught me with that.
It's frustrating.
And yeah, it's a really powerful move in the mental damage it does.
Absolutely. And it, like I say, it seems like it's random, but if you, well, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I want to say that as I've seen, you would expect Vega players in earlier or lower ranks to just spam this move. And then, sure, when you first start out, you find out that, hey, there's this move. It's a heavy, so it's high priority. It's fast. It comes out in 9 frames. It moves really far forward. It's a low. It knocks down and gives him Oki, and it's potentially a crush counter. This is one of the most powerful moves, by itself that you could ask for in a game. But then, of course, you find also that the counter to it is that, well, it's super unsafe. It's minus 13. All you have to do is block it. And if you block it, you're hitting him with your hardest hitting grounded combo. So, just block, right? It should be that easy. And then it becomes a gimmick. Well, I'm here in master and grandmaster ranks, still finding myself getting hit by Vega's slide in neutral when they don't have V trigger to make it safe. And I'm going, this is frustrating. I shouldn't be getting hit by this. And it's really easy to just stop there and say they're getting lucky, they're using lag online, whatever, yada yada. But the truth of the matter is, I went back and watched some of my replays where Vega players were hitting me more often than I felt like they should be. And there's more to the picture than just the slide. It's actually
John, are you saying you took accountability for your problems and didn't just blame it on?
actually
Why would
that's
you
the
do?
big takeaway from all of
Why
this,
would you
bigger
do
than anything
something like
else.
that?
Yeah, it's my fault. Good. So yeah, I watched some replays and I realized no, it's not just that slide in a vacuum. It's actually the threat of all of Vega's other potential tools that are weighing on you, whether you're aware of them or not, or your instincts are aware of them, because they always are once you've faced them a few times. And it's actually a pretty high level manipulation. Now, the Vega player on the other side may or may not understand this and be able to articulate it to you, but if you understand it, you can start avoiding this. And then it's not only Vega's slide that you'll be able to get away from, it'll be any moves that you feel like, why is this working when I feel like it shouldn't be? I feel like I understand this move, and yet somehow the other guy or the girl just knows when to do it and they're just catching me. It's like, well, let's break things down a little bit, okay? So you watch Vegas. There are some things that Vega as a character has, and they're very strong advantages, very strong tools. And these are his walk speed is the best in the game. He's the fastest when it comes to walking around. And then also he has a bigger than average reach with his normals. And so what does that amount to? Well, if you imagine Vega's danger zone, every character has a danger zone, right? Where they can reach you, where if you are within this range, they can hurt you. And for a lot of characters, Vega's danger zone is, you imagine it like projected, if you can go into training mode, it's like this red shadow in front of him. You can't see that when you're playing, but your subconscious knows it's there. And when you're at the tip of it, unless you're like, Dalsum or these farther reaching characters, maybe Chun-Li, you're at a place where he can hit you with his normals, but you can't hit him, which is like one of the worst places to be against any character when that's the situation, right? And so he not only does he have a far reach, but he's able to move that danger zone really quickly because he's so fast on his feet. And so what ends up happening is you find yourself in that space, your subconscious is going, I need to get the heck out of here. Pantera starts playing in your soul, and all you want to do is walk, right? Vega makes you want to walk. So what he'll do is he'll put some pressure on with, say, something like a standing medium punch is one of his go-to poke tools, right? He'll do like 2 standing medium punches, and you'll block both of those. He'll be pushed out to exactly that space, just about where he can still threaten you, but you probably can't reach him with much. And then slide happens. And you'll be sitting there and seemingly like you've just been blocking for forever. And then on the frame that you stop blocking, 8 frames before that, Vega has inputted slide and it catches you perfectly. It's like that didn't happen by chance. That happened because the Vega player either directly or indirectly understands exactly when their character makes you want to move. Usually you just want to back up and get out of that danger area so that you can recollect yourself, get your approach, your game plan down, and then go for it. And you want to be up in his face, right? Well, that's
and just to clarify for our listeners here, one of the key aspects of Street Fighter V is taking your turn, where the opponent is either push themselves out or is at such a negative point of time. And this is another layer of that where it's special to Vega, where it's like, okay, well, I'm outside of his danger zone. I've weathered the storm of his neutral. Now I get to take my turn and actually, well, not even take a turn. I get to move, right? I get to adjust. And that slide comes right in there and just knocks you off your feet. And it's,
right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and not as common, but sometimes they'll be just outside of their reach, and they'll whiff a standing medium punch. And I think that kind of that instinctually makes you want to go, oh, I can be punishing that if I'm just a little closer, and it makes you want to actually kind of walk forward and take advantage of that situation. But the Vega players are just like inputting, do the medium punch, do the slide, and most of the time it works. So you see that and you go, okay, I understand what's going on here. And now with that knowledge, seeing that, okay, I'm being influenced, but if I'm aware of it, I can then manipulate further. And it is kind of a scrubby tactic at the end of the day, because it's an unsafe move. At a certain point, the Vega player is committing to it, which is what Street Fighter V is widely based on, but he's going to get hit real hard. And sure enough, the players that I've run into that have used these kind of strategies, as soon as I put this under the microscope and went back into games with them, man, I was just blowing them up for it. Because you're understanding it. It's not just that move, but it's the implication, Dennis Reynolds, of all of the other threats surrounding it that's manipulating you, that's causing you to dance a particular dance, and then they're coming in and just sweeping you right off your feet, so to speak. And so that's nice to know. to avoid Vega's sweep, but also I think a lot of people aren't losing sleep over this move because, like we said, Vega's never been like the strongest character. I do think with that range and with that movement speed, he's got a lot of what he needs to be potentially the best character in the game. And Capcom has had problems with him as the best character in a lot of previous games just because that's sort of his design. And so I think that what he lacks is maybe damage output or the ability to continue Oki in meaningful ways. So he can't take advantage of those things and become the matter of fact best character. But his neutral is very, very strong and very manipulative.
Yeah,
So
you were saying about just real quick, you were saying about Vega being top tier. People are like, yeah, when has that been the case since like Street Fighter 2? Well, in Street Fighter 4, right before the game shipped, Vega was the #1 character in the game in Capcom's internal builds, and they nerfed him right before the game came out, and so he was low tier for most of Street Fighter 4's lifespan in terms of the public. But in terms of like Capcom's development house, Vega was a dominant character right before, and they're just like, this is too much. Let's dial him back, and there it is.
yeah, I think his design is maybe a little bit unfortunate because he doesn't tend to play well with others. I think he's one of those that sort of because he's far reaching and fast and good, on his feet, you have to kind of like hobble him a little bit. And he kind of ends up being sort of hot or cold. He's kind of either one of the best, or you have to nerf him down in other ways to make sure that he's not one of the best because his matter of fact tools are so strong.
Yeah,
They've done a pretty good job of balancing him, and hey, he's like in the top 10 of every category online, and yet not one
yeah,
of the best characters in the game. So hey, they've done a pretty good job, but I do think that his design is difficult to balance. Say that.
it is.
But
Yeah,
the bigger takeaway here from all of this is that now, whenever you're feeling like there are certain situations and certain moves against certain characters where, you go, I understand this move. It's obvious to me. And yet somehow they seem to be, it's like they just know when to use it and it's working out for them. It's like, is Miss Cleo playing on the other end? Do they have a Game Shark? What the heck's going on? It's probably not that. It's probably that you are not actively aware of some of the other influences that either the moves that they're doing or the moves that your brain knows that they can do are having on you. And you are being much more predictable than you think you are, and therefore setting yourself up to get hit by these things, or they're setting you up to get hit by them, and you are taking the bait. So anytime that that's happening, go and watch the replays and think about the other factors at play, the other things that are making you dance around, and see if you can't be manipulating things on that level as well. And there you go.
yeah. It's I whenever you have that feeling in your stomach, like you had it earlier, you were saying like, why am I getting hit by Vegas sweep like this? And for other players, it might be Balrog's rush punch or Bison stomp or whatever. It's whatever you have a visceral reaction to. That's something you need to study a little bit more. And usually the things that you complain about the most are the things you probably need to lap the most. That's usually how it works. But there it is.
Absolutely. And hey, by the way, if you guys have any particular moves like this that you felt like are, yeah, this move, I think I get it, but for whatever reason I don't, or I'm just having a special amount of problem with it. Hey, hit us up in the comments and let us know, and maybe we will cover some of those in a future episode and give some tips from our point of view. So hit us up.